Okay, so tonight I really want you to imagine something kind of strange. You lie down in your bed, you close your eyes, and the familiar room around you completely disappears. Suddenly you're just somewhere else. You're standing in a city you've literally never visited. You're having full blown conversations with people who simply don't exist. You might be running from something you can't quite see, or, flying over vast oceans. And while it's happening, it feels absolutely 100% real. Not like a movie, not like your waking imagination. It feels like real life. Then, boom, your eyes snap open, you're back in your room. Same ceiling, same bed. But for those first few seconds of waking up, you just can't shake that eerie feeling that you are actually somewhere else entirely. Well, welcome to this explainer, where we're going to explore what is arguably the oldest, most deeply personal mystery of the human mind. Which brings us to a really unsettling question, right? Where do we actually go? Like, what actually are dreams? Are they just, random meaningless images cooked up by a resting brain? Or when we sleep, are we essentially crossing over into another reality? Because as you'll see, the journey we take every single night is far more mysterious and honestly a little more terrifying than you might think. Section 1, The Hidden Fake Universe. Okay, let's dive into this. Think about the sheer absurdity our minds just accept without question. In a dream, you can be sitting in your childhood home, but somehow it's also your high school. Or somehow your grandfather, who passed away years ago, is just sitting right next to you on the couch. Or there's a literal ocean inside your living room. And what does your brain do? It just says, yep, makes total sense. That is kind of terrifying when you really think about it. Every single night, your mind creates a fake, entirely impossible universe and then traps you completely inside it, forcing you to believe its bizarre logic. But here is where the whole thing gets even stranger. Your brain doesn't just project these dreams like a movie on a screen, it makes you physically feel them. Even if the dream itself is a total illusion, your physical reactions are absolutely real. If something is chasing you in that fake universe, your actual heart is racing in your bed. If you fall in a dream, your physical body jolts. If someone you really miss appears, you can wake up with actual tears on your face. The world might be fake, but man, the emotion is as real as it gets. And it's that raw, undeniable feeling that has made dreams feel like profound, spooky messages since the literal dawn of humanity. Section 2, Portals to the Unknown. So long before modern neuroscience came along, ancient humans took these hyperreal night journeys incredibly seriously. And honestly, can you blame them? Imagine being an early human, thousands of years ago, with absolutely no understanding of neurons or brain chemistry. To them, closing their eyes and seeing dead relatives or predicting storms wasn't just an act of imagination. Dreams were a literal doorway. They fully believed these were messages from the gods or visits from roaming spirits. Many even believed their actual soul left their physical body at night to travel into another, parallel world. To them, sleep was quite literally a portal to the unknown. Now, I know that might sound primitive to our modern, tech-driven minds, but think about your own experiences for a second. Even today, a single dream about a person you haven't seen in years can completely mess with your head for an entire day. Or you might see a specific place in a dream, and then months later, you walk into a real room that feels exactly the same. We write it off as a coincidence. But when it happens to you, right there in the quiet of your own life, it doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels spooky. It feels like a glitch in the universe. Section 3, The Brain's Night Shift. Of course, science gives us a completely different lens to look through here. According to neuroscience, dreams aren't supernatural portents to other dimensions. Instead, they're the result of the brain's night shift, working relentlessly behind the scenes while your physical body rests. While you're fast asleep, your brain is actively cleaning house. It's sorting out important memories, processing deep, unresolved emotions, and just throwing away all the useless noise from the day. It's basically connecting old memories with new fears to try and make sense of your waking life. But there is a catch. So the crucial point is, the brain doesn't clean quietly. Instead, it turns this routine maintenance into a wild, cinematic, emotional puzzle. It takes old childhood memories, mixes them with your deepest fears, adds a completely random thought you had during lunch, and then throws in the face of a passing stranger you saw on the street like 5 years ago. It blends all this chaotic data into a story, and that's exactly why dreams speak in symbols. A dream about falling? It might just be your brain's way of saying you feel like you're losing control in your waking life. Your brain is sending messages from the inside, hidden deep in the architecture of your own mind. But all of this brings us to what is probably the most disturbing question we'll explore in this explainer. Why do these worlds feel so unbelievably real?
Why is our biological machinery capable of creating an entire fake reality that is so powerful and so immersive that we completely buy into it while we are trapped inside?
Well, the answer is deeply unsettling. It all comes down to a concept called controlled hallucination. You see, right now, as you're listening to this, you think you are experiencing reality directly, but you aren't. Your waking life is not a direct, unfiltered experience of the world. It's a simulation. It is simply your brain's best guess of reality, built from the light and the vibrations collected by your eyes and ears. And this brilliantly illustrates something absolutely wild. The exact same biological machine builds both worlds. Waking reality is just a simulation based on outside data. Dreaming reality? That's a simulation based on inside data. Dreams are simply what happens when your brain keeps right on building reality, but disconnects from the outside world. To your brain, there literally isn't a huge difference. The line between waking and dreaming is terrifyingly thin. Section 4. Why nightmares haunt us. Now let's shift into the shadows of our sleep for a minute. If our brain is the master architect of these worlds, why are they not always beautiful? Why on earth would our own minds intentionally manufacture monsters, dark corridors, and absolutely terrifying scenarios just to scare us in our sleep? Well, one chilling scientific theory is that nightmares are essentially ancient survival training, mental fire drills. Think back to early humans living in a world full of predators, darkness, and just constant danger. A brain that could simulate danger at night would help prepare the body for survival during the day. When you dream about being chased, your brain is literally practicing fear. You are rehearsing for deadly danger, all within the safe confines of your mind. But sometimes this ancient system goes way too far, especially when it comes to trauma. Severe trauma can actually trap a person in a repeating nightmare because the brain is desperately trying to process a pain it couldn't fully understand in waking life. So it just replays the disaster over and over. It's heartbreaking, really, because sometimes our mind scares us simply because it is trying to save us.
Section 5. Waking up inside dreams.
So what happens when the system glitches in a completely different way? Like what happens when you wake up, but you realize you are actually still inside the dream? We're talking, of course, about lucid dreaming, becoming fully conscious inside a dream and realizing that the world around you isn't actually real. The moment that realization hits, it's a real game changer. You are no longer just a trapped passenger. You basically become a god inside your own private universe. You can fly over cities, change the entire environment with a single thought, or even turn right around and face your nightmares directly. You become fully aware inside a fake reality. Which kind of leads to a fun, slightly spooky question. If you can become fully aware inside a dream and completely accept its physical laws right up until the exact moment you realize it's a dream, how sure are you that you are fully awake right now? I mean, we rely on consistency and memory to prove to ourselves that we're awake. But when you're inside a dream, you accept those exact same things as proof, too. Reality depends entirely on your brain believing it. Section 6. Visitors from the past. Because, beyond all the neuroscience, the fear mechanics, and the simulated realities, there is one type of dream that is profoundly emotional and just deeply haunting. The dreams where we see visitors from our past, people who have died. Anyone who has ever experienced this knows the intense, almost ghostly weight of it. A parent, a friend, someone whose voice you swore you'd forgotten is suddenly standing right in front of you, smiling, alive again. And for a few precious, impossible moments, the grief completely disappears. You hug them. You feel genuine, profound comfort. And then you wake up. The universe vanishes, and the harsh pain of reality returns. Science actually becomes very quiet here. Sure, neurologists will say it's just the brain replaying neural circuits and processing grief, and honestly, they are probably right. But when you wake up feeling like you were truly visited by someone you lost, who is to say that experience is meaningless? There's a saying I love. Maybe the dead do not return in dreams, but maybe love does. And perhaps, at the end of the day, that is enough. And I think that is the strange, beautiful tragedy of dreaming. Every single night, without moving a literal inch, you travel. You become entirely different versions of yourself. You visit impossible worlds, you speak to ghosts, and you face your hidden fears. An entire, incredibly complex universe is created by your mind in the dark. And every morning, by the time you're having breakfast, it is completely destroyed and forgotten. So tonight, when you close your eyes and the world fades away, Remember that you are stepping into the absolute oldest mystery of the human mind, a hidden cinema built entirely from your own memory, fear, and love. And the next time you wake up from a completely bizarre, hyper-real world, maybe the best question to ask yourself isn't, was it real? The better, far more provocative question to ask yourself is this: why did my mind need to take me there? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep wondering.